great characters from my life, and this one was one from one of the first phases of my life, not just a segment of my life, and that is I want to tell you about my grandma Scott. Probably again, I'm sure I've told stories about her in the past, but I was talking with my sister the other day and realized that we were blessed with some awesome family, and we had quite the characters in our family, and my grandma Scott was one of them. She was such an interesting person. Grandma didn't get married till a bit later in life because she cared for her mother up until her into her 30s, and then she married a man, and he died when my mom was relatively young in age, so she hadn't been married that long and had to remarry. And I'm not sure that second marriage was all that happy of a marriage, but it was there. But Grandma Scott was always a very proper person, even though she kind of put on sometimes the airs of being wealthy, even though she did not have money. She was always really scraping to get by, it seemed like. But I remember taking a picture of her, and she always wanted to sit up. And if we were getting our picture taken, she'd say, "Sit up, honey, sit up." She reminded me that we needed to take care of our cuticles and our nails. Be sure and take care of your cuticles. Unfortunately, I've let that go. I've let my cuticles go. Sorry, Grandma. But Grandma was always very proper. But when we would go out to eat and she would drink a lot of iced tea, Grandma would get iced tea drunk. And we have a series of hilarious pictures of her making faces that is so out of character for her. But she'd had a lot of caffeine that day, so she was iced tea drunk. There is such a thing, believe me. But here's the thing about Grandma Scott, and this is a beautiful thing. She was a prayer warrior supreme. When Grandma died, I felt the absence of her earthly prayers in my life. Not sure how those heavenly prayer things work. I'm sure they're there, if they're there. But I remember at times, Grandma was very hard of hearing, and more so the older she got, very hard of hearing. And so when I would come to visit her, I would have to let herself into my apartment, which was always a scary thing, because I kind of pushed the door, "Grandma, are you decent? Grandma!" And she wouldn't hear me. But I'd open the door, and then I would hear her. She'd be in the bedroom, laying in bed, and she'd be praying. And she'd be praying out loud, and I didn't even want to disturb her prayers. Made me wonder, as many times as I caught her praying, that woman must have prayed a lot there in her apartment. And my blessing for you today is, may you have the blessing of having somebody who prays for you. And it may be something you don't even know until somewhere down the road, but may you have the blessing of somebody who prays for you. And if you would like somebody to pray for you, just leave a comment down below. Say, "Hey, here I am. Say a prayer today." I would be glad to lift your name in prayer. May it be so in the name of Jesus.